Mr. Speaker,
Order. Questions for oral answer. Mr. Melvin Yong.
Mr. Speaker, sir, divorce is never easy, but some couples have had to make such a decision. Raising children poses its own challenges, and divorced parents, just like any other parent, want the best for their children and try their best to raise their children well. The MSF study on the intergenerational effects of divorce covered more than 100,000 children, and of these, about 8,800 of them were children whose parents divorced when they were below 21 years old. The study did not attempt to determine causality, that is, it did not seek to determine if the divorce itself caused certain outcomes in children. Rather, the study examined the children's outcomes in the following 5 areas and its co-occurrence with parental divorce. Number 1, whether they obtained a university degree. Number 2, their annual income. Number 3, their balances in CPF, Medisave, and special accounts. Number 4, whether they got married. And 5, whether they divorced among those who got married. There was no clear finding suggesting a relationship between the child's age when the parents divorced and the child's outcomes at age 35. MSF will continue to look deeper into various aspects of divorce so as to understand the factors that are associated with positive or negative child outcomes post-divorce. The study findings show a significant negative association between parental divorce and children outcomes based on the 5 factors analyzed. In other words, in general, children whose parents were divorced were more likely to not fare as well as those whose parents remained married based on the 5 factors analyzed. But it is not a deterministic cause and effect relationship. In fact, the findings also indicated that amongst children whose parents were divorced, there were some who did as well and even better than many children whose parents remained married. Hence, in cases of parental divorce, it is important to focus more efforts on early intervention for the children, not only to mitigate the potential negative effects, but also to enhance their positive development. This intervention effort should be based on rigorous evidence from the social and behavioral sciences, and for it to work, we will need good policies and the help from experts, but also the support from families, communities, and indeed a whole-of-society approach. Today, couples who are undergoing divorce, they go through parenting programs. Under the Women's Charter, those who cannot agree on the divorce or its ancillary matters must attend a mandatory parenting program before they can file for divorce. For those who agree on the divorce and its ancillary matters, they can go for the Parenting Pact program after the divorce is concluded. Muslim couples considering divorce attend the Sharia Court's mandatory marriage counseling program as well as parenting programs as part of the divorce process. All these initiatives for civil as well as Muslim divorces aim to raise parents' awareness of their children's needs and the importance of co-parenting in a respectful and collaborative manner. We will continually review both the process and the content of these initiatives to enhance their efficacy. For couples experiencing marital stress or contemplating divorce, we have started a new online counseling pilot with the Community Psychology Hub in April 2020. Couples or their children can also alternatively approach any of our 6 divorce support specialist agencies, DSSAs, if they require counselling support. We will also be introducing a new pre-divorce online portal in late 2021. In this regard, MSF has just completed an engagement session with more than 120 citizens, many of whom were divorcees. I thank them for stepping forward, as it is not easy for them. They have given us valuable inputs on how we can better provide information that parents need to consider when contemplating divorce, ranging from the emotional well-being of their children to bread and butter issues that impact their children, particularly housing and financial stability. MCCY will also be conducting a similar engagement with a focus on Muslim divorce issues. MSF provides an evidence-based program for parents and children between 6 and 15 years of age. This program is called Children in Between and is run by counselors from the DSSAs. It equips children with skills to manage their feelings and develop resilience. Although there are about 6,500 children a year whose parents get divorced, only about 100 children attend Children in Between. We're looking into how we can encourage more divorced parents to enroll themselves and their children for this important program. Our schools and institutes of higher learning provide support to all students who are facing personal challenges. I encourage parents who would like such support for their children to approach the network of teachers, counselors, and education and career guidance counselors. I also encourage the older students, especially those who are teenagers, to seek help from this extensive network. If you're facing issues arising from your parents' divorce, you need not handle it on your own. Please turn to this network of care and support. Earlier, I mentioned that we had engaged more than 120 citizens on the pre-divorce support portal and that many of them were divorcees. While they appreciated what we were trying to do, many strongly urged us to also try to save marriages. Indeed, it is as important, if not more, that we increase our upstream efforts to strengthen marriages. We will also step up our efforts to encourage couples to undergo marriage preparation programs such as the evidence-based Prevention and Relationship Education Program, PrEP workshops run by our social service agencies, which equips them with the skills to build a strong foundation for marriage. MSF offers a rebate of $140 for the PrEP workshop or $70 for other approved programs conducted by social service agencies. For Muslim couples, we provide Cinta Abadi marriage preparation program, which is now offered online to make it even more accessible. Solemnizers can also play an important role to support newlyweds. A group of Qadi, Naib Qadi from the Registry of Muslim Marriages initiated the ground-up effort, Bersamamu or With You, to inspire strong and stable marriages. The Bersamamu has 2 components, namely face-to-face interaction with soon-to-wed couples, and the Qadi/Naib Qadi remain connected with the newlyweds for up to 2 years after their solemnization. Since Bersamamu started in July 2019, about 6,000 couples have attended the face-to-face Bersamamu with their Qadi/Naib Qadi. We will be engaging solemnizers from ROM and hope that we can find champions among them who would develop similar initiatives. Since March 2019, we have trained 215 community leaders, religious and lay leaders, as well as marriage solemnizers as marital first responders. They will provide basic marriage support to couples facing marital issues, especially in its early stages before matters turn for the worse. We will continue to train more marital first responders to support more couples in need. We are also working with social service agencies, community and religious organizations to offer more marriage enrichment programs so that couples can nurture and deepen their relationships through life's ups and downs and find fulfillment in their marriage. We will continually review and examine the efficacy of our interventions to mitigate post-divorce issues as well as to strengthen marriages in order to improve children's outcomes for all families. Thank you.
Mr. Melvin Yong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the MOS for her reply. Divorce can be messy affairs, and the children in these cases often suffer the consequences. Just last night, I had 2 divorce-related conflict cases at MPS. Our children need stability and security to grow into healthy adults, and experts have said that it is important for divorced parents to remain amicable and be able to effectively co-parent in order to mitigate what the experts term as a divorce penalty. I would like to ask the MOS, on average, how many % of divorce cases are high conflict cases where the parents are unable to co-parent well, and whether MSF social workers are able to step in earlier to help the children in such divorce cases rather than having to wait until the court orders a supervised exchange and visitation program.
I thank the member for his question. As a rough gauge, there were 249 court orders for supervised exchange or supervised visitation in 2019. I guess you could consider that these are high conflict situations out of 7,620 divorces, and this translates to about 3% of all divorces. I take the point that indeed we need to intervene earlier, and I recognize the point that children may suffer the consequences of divorces if they are not handled properly and amicably. And that's why in my earlier reply, I had gone to some extent to talk about the marriage counseling programs that we have. Just to give you an example, the marriage parenting program I mentioned earlier for civil divorces is a consultation session for parents with minor children before they file for divorce, and it is compulsory. It is designed to encourage divorcing couples to make improved decisions that prioritize the well-being of their children. So for instance, the areas that they look at are to discuss the financial challenges they may face post-divorce, their living arrangements, child custody and access, as well as the co-parenting and parenting plan. So indeed, we have various counseling and sessions pre the finalization of a divorce to exactly achieve what you had shared with us, that we want to achieve the best available outcomes for children to mitigate the impact of divorces on them. Thank you.
Ms. Carrie Tan.
I thank MOS for her response and sharing with us what the programs related to support post-divorce and also premarital counselling. But I'd like to highlight that when couples go through divorce, unfortunately, despite all the efforts in premarital counselling and support that has really happened, it is a very difficult journey. And I would like to ask, what exactly was the ministry's intention and motivation for this study? And what was the motivation for publishing the results of this study in a manner that, unfortunately, I think creates the unintended further stigmatizing of divorcees, achieving effect of maybe potentially guilt-tripping them, and also the unfortunate labeling of children from divorced families. So is there any measures within the ministry to look into better planning such communication in future, where it can be accompanied by further and deeper insights into the factors that account for the outcomes that were shared? Instead of, I understand the spirit of data sharing and observations, but the timing of this publication and the limited scope or insights that it provided is really, unfortunately, creates a certain impact in divorcees. I went through a broken marriage before, and I think when I was quite saddened when I saw this, and I questioned myself, right, does this make this harder for couples who are already considering divorce due to very difficult circumstances in their marriage? Because then they worry about these outcomes, which they already worry about, and it doesn't help them in their consideration process. Thank you.
I thank the member for her observation and her sharing. We fully recognize that divorce is a difficult process and also a deeply personal one. And that's why when I started my response, I had said that it is never easy. And really the intent of the MSF to publish this research study is not to guilt-trip anyone. But we have data, administrative data, and we think that there are important observations that can be made from this data. And we wanted to share it with practitioners, with families, so that they understand what the data presents. Now, the MSF undertook the study to understand the potential impact of divorce. Like I said, we looked at divorce and its co-occurrence with the 5 factors that I have shared earlier, but it is not about cause and effect. We're not talking about causation. We're talking about co-occurrence. That was how the study was conducted. Now that we have this information, I think the next step we want to look at is how we can further strengthen marriages, how we can help to prevent divorce where it is possible, but we fully recognize that in some instances, for certain family dynamics, divorce may jolly well be the best way out for everyone. And if that's the case, and if there are young, minor children involved, how best do we mitigate the impact of divorces on these children? That is the intent and the spirit of this study. But I fully acknowledge and take the point about the importance of communications, and that's why I really appreciate the opportunity to share about the MSF's motivations at this occasion today. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, sir. I think the Children in Between program is an important one, but as MOS has just shared, the problem really is the take-up rate is so low. So I'm just wondering whether MSF will consider making this program mandatory, just like how we made the parenting program mandatory as well. Thank you.
I thank the member for the suggestion. We will look into it. I guess in any situation, we also have to consider the family dynamics, but I think it is a worthy suggestion you have made, and the MSF will study it. Thank you.
Ms. Carrie Tan.
Thank you, MOS. We'd like to find out whether there are current plans in terms, and what is the timeline for further studies around the various factors contributing to these outcomes that children from divorced families kind of present. So I think that will contribute to certain mitigation measures and specific programs to address those factors. Is there any plans right now for this kind of research to further pursue the factors contributing to these outcomes?
I thank the member for her supplementary question. I think with the data we have on hand, the next steps we'll look at is to explore what causes divorces and how we can better protect marriages, strengthen marriages, and also to mitigate the impact of divorce. If we were to attempt to try to explain causality, the way we would approach the study would be very different from how we have done so for this particular study, because we would have to track the experience of the child from when the divorce takes place, and we have to be able to isolate specific factors and over time see how the child has grown, developed, and what eventually the outcome to the child is. It is different from how we've conducted the survey as it is now, which is based on administrative data and looks at where the child is, how they have performed at specific points in time. So for us to undertake that kind of longitudinal study to determine causation, it will require a lot of resources, and I think for the time being, we would focus efforts on how we can better strengthen marriages, help the process when couples are contemplating divorce. I had talked about the pre-divorce support portal, so those will be the immediate next steps that we will be taking. Thank you.